When I share my story, it's about more than building an inspirational space for artists. I represent the creative spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation.
I am our past.
I am our present.
I am our future.
I am all of us. When we share, we become one.
Because our stories make us more.
Stories keep our culture alive.
See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Through the Keyhole. It's an Oklahoma football podcast. I am somebody of note, maybe to some, but not to enough. I'm Brady Trantham alongside Mr. Alan Kinney, who's below me on the Zoom call. Alan, how are we doing?
Below you on the Zoom call, but just above you in life.
There you go. I mean, that's perfectly okay. I'd love to be. I'm going to stop there for fear of phrasing. We're just going to pause there. But good. Alan's here. No Peyton Guthrie tonight. Oh, wait. I forgot to introduce Matt Burton.
Hey, what's up, man? It's okay. I'm beneath each of you.
What are you doing? What are you doing down there? You've got a show, Matt.
Just watching. I'm just watching.
Brady. We were talking actually beforehand about Matt's remote spots, and during the football season, they do one every Friday at Twin Peaks. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
And he says he's noticed like a regular clientele there on Friday afternoon. Now, do you think they're there to see Matt, or is that more of a regular type thing?
Now it's either Matt or Tyler, right?
Yes.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good question. Man, Twin Peaks, back in the COVID days when everything was closed, and like in the first month or two, where we didn't necessarily know, we didn't know what we knew, we didn't know what we didn't know at the time about COVID. So like my main concern, at least at this point, I kind of had the understanding, okay, I'm probably more than likely fine, but I don't want to kill my parents. My mom had breast cancer. I don't want to go to work and then hang out with her and then get her sick. I don't really want to see my grandparents at all. So it was that period of time. Well, at the radio station, everything else did shut down. So we didn't have a lot to talk about in terms of sports. And we also didn't have a lot of money to go around because, no remotes for radio stations, for radio shows. So that was some trying times, but Twin Peaks jumped up and I think was about the first restaurant, first bar to basically open up business for radio shows. And I remember going to a Twin Peaks, I think around this time, like a month or so into lockdown and COVID. And it was pretty full. Yeah. It was just full. And I'm standing there in a mask and like, oh, I hope I don't get anyone sick, but dang it. It's nice to make some money again.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately we found out more stuff as time went along and it ended up being okay. But I just remember thinking like, I'm so excited to go on location somewhere. Oh, it's Twin Peaks.
Dude, speaking of the COVID remotes, the Monday after the Rudy Gobert incident in Oklahoma City, I was setting up remotes, teching. No, I was taking a remote at Lucky Star for Sam Mays, and I saw a woman there walking around barefoot at Lucky Star Casino after the COVID stuff came. I was like, this is no good. Yeah, this
societal order is breaking down.
Right?
Man.
This is no good. Please put some shoes on if you're walking around the casino.
Yeah, what day was that? It was March 11th, 2020. What day was that? Tell me what day it was. Don't give me this article. What day are you? Wednesday. Okay, so that makes sense because the Monday before that Utah Jazz and Thunder game, I was also at Lucky Star Casino with Chisholm Holland. And it was in the air that something might be happening. Rudy Gobert was sick, and the Jazz wouldn't say what he was sick with, and that was the next game. And if you guys remember, that was a gigantic game for seeding in the Northwest Division. It was gigantic for seeding just overall in the Western Conference. I think the Thunder they just won on the road in Boston at the buzzer. Like Dennis Schroeder had a steal, laid it in, like essentially at the buzzer. Big win. I think they had a 2 or 3 game winning streak. And the Thunder, if they had beaten the Jazz, they would have, I think, jumped up to the 3 seed. If the Jazz would have won, I think they would have jumped up to the 2 seed. So this was like a gigantic game. But there was this kind of shadow lurking kind of overhead. And then I filled in with Chisholm that day on Monday, and we went to Lucky Star. And I remember going to the bathroom, go pee and then wash my hands. And this one guy like came out of a stall, because he was going number 2. And then he just beelines out the door, which, his business, gross, but his business. But what really kind of stuck to me was he walked directly to a slot machine that we were sitting next to. And he was just like touching the slot. And I just remember thinking, we're all going to die. Gross. Anyway, this is an Oklahoma football podcast, by the way. But hey, it's the last week. It is the last week of essentially nothing to talk about because next week is game week. Is everyone, Matt, are you excited?
Hell yeah, man. I'm ready to go.
Alan, are you excited all the way in DC?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I just want to see some football. I mean, it's weird though with this OU stuff. I mean, in terms of not having a spring game, I know we talked about this before, but as a fan, like you really are flying blind, it feels like going into the season.
Oh, no question.
And the spring game is worthless, but still, I mean, you haven't seen these guys in forever, and there are a whole lot of new guys.
I mean, it's worthless, yes, but like we've discussed, it would have been nice to see some true freshmen to see like where are their bodies at? Like, are these guys freaks? Are they potentially like Jaden Jackson and can be ready as true freshmen day one if they're here early in the winter? Or is it kind of a David Stone situation where you understand he needs to put on some extra weight and he'll play because he's talented, but don't expect much. And you can kind of tell things like that from a spring game. But even little things, when OU plays Illinois State, I know that there was, what was it? The Crimson Combine, eye roll. Mm-hmm. My eyes are in the back of my skull. I think 17 people went to that. When OU plays Illinois State and they announce John Mateer as starting quarterback, that will be the first time that OU fans get to essentially say, welcome to Norman, John Mateer.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to do that in the spring game. So there's all these little things we've got to take care of. And speaking of that, let me take care of some housekeeping stuff. Because as you all know, thank you to our sponsors here at Through the Keyhole, Choctaw Nation, Kaizen Performance Gym, and of course our newer ones over the last month, our good friends at Home Field Apparel. Go check them out at homefieldapparel.com for all your awesome vintage OU retro wear. They are the exclusive apparel sponsor of Through the Keyhole. Surely by now you've seen their Can't Miss Kickoff 2025 OU Platinum Box. I don't think that there's any available, which is a good thing. It means everyone saw all the goodies in the box, said, what is in the box? What's in the box? And then they purchased said box, which is great. But there's still a lot of other stuff that you can go grab. I actually snagged a tee for a friend of mine on their website actually last week. So should be getting that either tomorrow or the next day. So looking forward to that. There is something going. I mean, Alan, do you know a little bit more about this in terms of the road game at Temple? I mean, there might be something cooking.
I believe there might be something cooking there. I'm not fully up to speed on it, but it's part, Home Field is going to be doing, I think, some events before games in certain, areas, I guess, throughout the season. One of them is, it sounds like one of them will be the OU Temple game.
Hell yeah. I mean, it makes it that much more of a fun thing to go to because the game won't be that fun. I mean, hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully, it's just like, yay, business as usual. I guess speaking of that, are we happy that Illinois State's at 5:00? Because honestly, guys, games like that, put that at 11 so I can just get it out of the way and watch other games.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been to a couple of those where it's been just 105, and
that's true. That's true, but if it's at 5:00 now, the game might start off where it's nicer, but all that means is we're all going to be tailgating all day.
That's true. Yeah.
Drowning in our own body sweat and juices. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Indeed.
A beautiful, beautiful thing. Patreon.com/through the keyhole. We are still doing the Patreon discount for a month. type in code Keyhole for 25% off if you are so inclined to help support. We've actually started gaining a handful of patrons over the last week and a half as we get closer and closer to football season. So thank you truly to everyone that is either jumping on for the first time and giving us a chance, or jumping on once again now that the off season is almost in the rearview mirror. Welcome back, and welcome to some new friends. Thank you all so very much for your patronage. Go check out keyholepod.com. That's the free website where you can find Alan Kinney's Blatant Homerism column. He wrote last week about his definitive prediction. This is set in stone, so everyone, unfortunately, don't cancel your tickets to the playoff game, because Alan Kinney said this is what's going to happen with the OU football Sooners in 2025. So go check that out at keyholepod.com. Again, that's the free site. You can check that out anytime you are so inclined. We'll have extra stuff coming as the season starts, when we have actual things to react to. So we're all very excited here at Through the Keyhole. And again, thank you to our other sponsors, Choctaw Nation and Kaizen Performance Gym in
Did
Norman.
we mention they can also get some more content at the Patreon site?
Oh yes, there's always extra. There's always extra content, either podcasts, written articles, any type of fun stuff, ideas that I might have, that Alan might have during the season. As everyone kind of understands, it's really hard to, as a consumer of media, especially OU content, the off season is just a whole bunch of quotes, and understandably so. And then, predictions and the Mount Rushmore of OU football, or the greatest OU player to wear jersey numbers 0 through 99, stuff like that. And, a graphic that was clearly written and created, unfortunately, by someone in their 20s. And that's okay. We all have to start somewhere as a fan, but there was OU football before Bob Stoops. I promise there was. And there were, there were great players on John Blake teams, on Schellenberger's one team, and on Gary Gibbs's teams. Do yourself a favor. If you're starting for OU football, just type in a random year, OU football on YouTube, and go have yourself a fun day. But yes, all that stuff. I wanted to be a little unorthodox today as we begin the show, gents. What's going on down at our friends on the plains in Alabama with the Auburn Tigers? And I say friends because I made a lot of friends last year when I made my trip down to Jordan-Hare Stadium, where the Sooners, vanquished Auburn, conquered that part of Alabama. And then, of course, we did win the Iron Bowl. So yay, we did that. In the last week or so, we have heard things like, we have 3 different offensive coordinators for 3 different situations. And again, Hugh Freeze is their head coach. He's an offensive guy. We've now heard recently that Hugh Freeze was asked specifically, hey, is there a chance that 2, if not all 3 quarterbacks, I believe they have a transfer from Stanford, whose name I can't remember, in addition
Ashton
to
Daniels.
Ashton Daniels, Knight, is that the freshman?
Yeah. Deuce.
Deuce Knight, the 5-star freshman. And then, of course, our old friend Jackson Arnold, who's, I've always assumed, kind of the starter. But Hugh Freeze was asked, hey, is there a chance that 2, if not all 3 quarterbacks play against Baylor? And he said yes. And he said yes, I think twice, to really set in stone that yes. So we've got all that kind of stuff going on. And then as a program, when they thought that we weren't really paying attention, Auburn just went ahead and said, we're going to claim 7 national, or how many do they claim?
4 more.
4. Man, Barry and Bud can claim about 6 or 7 between the 2 of them. That's some weak sauce, man. I thought we were done with that shit. I thought we were done with the message board days of, oh yeah, Alabama, the home of 19 national championships. Fortunately for them, they've just went ahead and won 19 national championships in real time before our eyes in the previous decade. So they don't need to pretend claim all those silly titles from the 30s, or some newspaper in Birmingham said Alabama's national champion. You look at their Wikipedia page, they went 8-2-1. That's questionable, very questionable. So, Alan, I'll start with you. What's going, we don't need to necessarily talk about the claiming national championship stuff. That's for me to complain about. But it seems very we're leading to something, to a realization that we as OU fans, we as OU people have known for the last year and a half, is that Jackson Arnold could very well end up being a good quarterback. as a 5-star can't miss recruit out of high school, he is a bust. That doesn't mean he can't be good. That doesn't mean he can't have a good day against OU in September. But it seems like the closer we get to the season, Alan, the confidence that Hugh Freeze seemed to show in Jackson Arnold at SEC Media Day a month ago, where he essentially, in kinder words, blamed all of Jackson's problems on OU's offensive coaching staff, on the situation, and there is blame to be had with that side of things. But we get further away from that and closer to the game, and now it seems more like Jackson just ain't it, and we are panicking and probably going to have to do a QB by committee thing here to start the season.
Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
Yeah, well, who knows what that rapscallion Hugh Freeze has planned. I mean, it could be that he's, kind of baiting everybody into thinking that they won't be any good. And, Jackson Arnold's going to come out there and light it up. But,
oh, boy.
I think the thing to keep in mind here when it comes to Auburn, though, is they've spent a ton of money. And they really have assembled a whole lot of nice weapons around Arnold. My guess is they're not all going to be on the sidelines in street clothes also. Unless they get hit by a play like OU did last year. But I think, though, too, he's probably recognizing that Deuce Knight, their freshman phenom, there's a lot of buzz around him, too, being the real deal. So, you're kind of in a weird spot if you're Hugh Freeze, though, aren't you? Because, they paid a lot of money to bring Arnold over. But what if he's not the best guy? I mean, how quickly do you need to see him fail? Maybe, I guess, would be the way to put it before you would put Knight out there. Those are the kinds of things that I'm looking at here. The stuff with Ashton Daniels too is weird. I mean, he was mainly a running quarterback kind of at Stanford, so maybe he'll be a package type quarterback. I don't know. It's all a very chaotic or muddled maybe might be the better word to put it. I don't know, but it's a strange situation there. I do think, though, that, we saw it last year, right, when OU beat Alabama, for example. Arnold did a lot of damage with his legs that night. He completed a few throws that they needed. He'll have better weapons around him. It's not, I guess, out of the realm of possibility that he'll be at least, not a superstar, but good, right?
Yeah. No, we've known, in addition to the thing I said previously about Jackson Arnold overall, Jackson Arnold is incredibly talented, and he does seem like the type of quarterback that already, after just a year of playing, if you surround him with awesome talent, he can make some stuff happen just by himself, with his athletic gifts, and he can make things happen because he'll be surrounded by guys that mask all of his many, many, many flaws. One of which is like just putting the football on the ground a lot. Yeah. It is not pretty. It made me mad. It made everyone mad. Even Matt got mad. Matt never gets mad.
I was pissed. No, we were actually talking about this earlier too, and I think there are some people, and again, we know the types of people this is, but that cover Auburn that are doing the whole, well, I think that's just good sign for Auburn's defense, right? That, Auburn's defense is just that good. And I was just like, heard basically that verbatim last year of people trying to, no, everything is fine. Like Kevin Bacon and Animal House, all is well, right? All is well. Nothing going on here. Again, I'm not buying it at all. He does, to Alan's point, have, Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman to throw to. That's really good. For me, it's his confidence had to be just absolutely through the floor, much like anybody on that offense last year. Confidence had to be through the floor. Went back and watched, and again, these are some highlights, so I'm not watching the lowlights of Jackson Arnold, but going back and watching some from last year, like there were some throws on the highlights where you're like, okay, not bad. Yeah, some of it is there. But for me, it's just a lot different. Like there are guys that whenever live bullets are flying, whenever things just move too fast. And I think that was where I was at with Jackson Arnold last year. Just things were moving incredibly too fast for him out there. And I hope that he gets his confidence back and, can start making some of those throws. But I mean, how much confidence are you really instilling in your quarterback right now if you're Hugh Freeze when, there's video coming out of you just like ripping him for not throwing the football. And then, anytime he's asked, less so about that. That's more for fans to freak out about.
Yeah.
But more so about anytime he's asked, he's like, no, there multiple quarterbacks could play. Yeah. How much confidence should that instill in you? So I really don't know. My kind of hot take is that I don't think Arnold's going to be starting the OU game. They got Dave Aranda in week 1. I'm not saying like Baylor or some juggernauts on defense, but we've seen Dave Aranda have some good defenses, and he knows what he's doing. That to me though, again, Baylor's not some juggernaut on defense, but that's not a team that you want to get your confidence back against, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, the correct answer is every player is different, but when you talk about how Jackson Arnold's confidence was beneath the floor, I mean, it's true. I didn't get that other than situationally, within games. I didn't get that feeling with Michael Hawkins. And I guess that I'm the Michael Hawkins stan, but he was thrown into a bad situation. He performed well until he didn't. And then he was asked to leave the field. And then he came back for the bowl game, and did he light it up? No, but he performed admirably and damn near led a game-winning drive. I mean, he did lead a touchdown drive, and then they missed the 2-point conversion to win the game. So the answer is everyone's different. Well, how come Jackson just seemed to just lose his confidence completely and never regain it? But Michael Hawkins seemed to be able to kind of go with the flow to an extent,
I mean, think about it too. You're the 5-star QB that they handed the thing over to, and nothing is going the way that you thought it was going to go. I mean, some people handle that differently, but I could see, if you've really had no adversity in your football career yet, and it all just kind of comes crashing down at once.
Sure.
That Tennessee game, I could see that having pretty big effect on the confidence.
Well, I mean, I hope for his sake, and I think he kind of said as much at SEC Media Day, because, I mean, he's classy. Hopefully there's some self-reflection in all that, and not just kind of for his sake, his personal sake, don't just shovel everything to it was their fault.
Right.
Because if you do, then you will fumble the football just as much as you did when you played here in Norman for Auburn. So, yeah, well, quick little question for you guys. Don't think about talent, and especially don't think about NFL prospects. Who was a better college quarterback, Dylan Gabriel or Spencer Rattler? I'm curious. I could be wrong, but
Dylan Gabriel.
Okay.
I guess I'll say Gabriel.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so there's just something to be said about quarterbacks that can make all the throws that scouts will drool over. This guy can, if you just put him behind, this talent or this offensive line with these receivers, then it all works. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't necessarily I would love to have Kyler Murray every single season, but the likelihood that you do it's not high at all. But I think that there's an intangible about quarterback play, especially in college, because college is much more chaotic than the NFL, in my opinion. But if you have a quarterback that can make plays in spite of the bullshit around him, I think you're cooking. And we seem to feel like we have that with John Mateer, because Spencer Rattler was the type of quarterback that seemed to only really thrive if he was in a relatively good situation. And football's chaos. It's not going to always be good. There are going to be players that are hurt. And hell, Spencer Rattler had NFL talent all around him, and he still just crapped the bed at the Cotton Bowl against Texas, and then Caleb Williams came off the bench and saved the day. So, Jackson can make all the throws, but the intangible aspects, I just don't know if they're there. So that's why the Auburn game doesn't necessarily scare me that much, but I'm sure it will after we play a game, and then I realize, oh God, we need to fix this. Oh, what does this mean? Oh goodness. But it is what it is. We return to fall camp with the Oklahoma Sooners, and I think really the still the big storyline, guys, is just the offensive line, right? It's just a matter of getting certain guys back. I mean, Matt, have we received word either from the coaches or insider reporting about, like, even a guy like Derek Simmons, who got a concussion, a week or two, like 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago now. Yeah. I don't know if Simmons is back. Sexton is not back. We talked to Ryan Aber, the Oklahoman, today. That's why it's still kind of fresh on my mind. He said Michael Fasusi today had some sort of medical emergency, but didn't say that didn't seem to be anything like that serious. Like, not, I don't think it was an injury per se. But he just said he had some sort of medical emergency, but didn't think that it would be anything.
Yeah, it sounds like
serious.
he had some heat related issues that, I mean,
it was 100 degrees
stuff.
today.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, scary stuff. It would not surprise me if that kind of limits his availability for the next week or so, if I had to guess.
Right.
Well, goodness. So who are the guys that we can, at least for now, we can depend upon that have been consistently available and healthy? I mean, we're talking Fabechi, Wee-Woo.
Yep. Sounds like Logan Howland at right tackle.
Logan Howland. Troy Everett.
Yep. Jake Michaela as well.
Jake Michaela.
Dinner. Left guard, probably. Ozida, Eddie Pierre-Louis.
Pierre-Louis. So now there's some, there is some kind of uncertainty, I guess, at that left tackle spot. Now, if Sexton and Fasusi aren't necessarily full go for week one, I mean, you could, I guess, see Howland move back over there, or even see Simmons. I mean, last year, Derek Simmons, he was swinging between right and left tackle in the middle of games a lot of times for Western Carolina. So I guess that's also an option if the two guys who are kind of, pegged to be the 1-2 there are unavailable.
Well, I mean, they essentially have all of the rest of this week. It's only Tuesday. They have all of next week. I'd imagine that they kind of, I mean, they're going to go straight into prep next week, and for reals, they're just going to start prepping for Michigan, right? So they have 2.5, 3 weeks really for the main guys, like whether it would be Fasusi if he's indeed going to be a starter or left tackle against Michigan. It's one thing to start against Illinois State, but starting against Michigan, I think, is kind of obviously the indicative, this is who they really think they should be starting out there, is whoever trots out there to start. So they have some time to get these guys back. But I mean, I hope, because I just remember, I mean, with Derek Simmons, and I don't know where he kind of lies on the depth chart, but he's a guy that people were certainly excited about with his physicality and his attitude for OU's offensive line. I just remember hearing when he got that concussion a few weeks ago that it would kind of be like a day-to-day thing. And I know concussions are dangerous and you want to always err on the side of caution, and health and safety is important, but I'm frankly kind of shocked he's not back. But I wonder how cautious this staff, the medical staff and both the coaching staff, have been in fall camp. I mean, Matt, have you, whether it be Aber, I mean, whoever else you guys are talking to on the reg, like, has that been kind of a theme in terms of what the insiders are bringing up?
Yeah, I think it's more precautionary. I want to say George said on the unofficial 40 that Simmons has had like multiple concussions. So I think that they're like not multiple concussions at OU, but throughout his
in the past
playing career. So they're being a little bit extra cautious with him.
Okay.
So I think that would make sense. I would expect I mean, I know, but I mean, I would expect those guys probably get back on the field next week leading up to the game.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully everything is going to go according to plan, because I think we're all excited for Jade Knott. We're all excited for, I mean, we're excited for the running back room. I don't want to pretend like Javonte Barnes hasn't performed well. This is just anytime Javonte Barnes talk comes up and I seem kind of annoyed, it has really less to do with him and more to do with his position coach. Another story for another day. But, I mean, guys, like with the running backs, the conversation always kind of when it comes to OU's offense, John Mateer, the offensive line, and then today the receivers, because Emmett Jones talked to the media. We'll get to that in a little bit. But with the running backs, I mean, Alan, I think Jade Knott, I think he was named preseason All-SEC today, or at least that announcement came out.
Oh, no, that I had not seen, but when
second team.
Yeah.
Or second team.
Yeah, him and Orr Mason were both second team.
And then Ben Anderson, don't forget about him.
Sorry, long snapper. Yep.
Yes,
long
yes,
snappers
indeed.
need love too, Craig.
No, I mean, that's another thing about, I mean, obviously, like, Jade Knott transferred to OU after the spring game, right? He was after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So another like first and welcome to Norman from the fan base when Jade Knott gets announced as, RB1, or at least runs onto the field for the first time, whether he starts or not. I think we're all assuming that he does. But I mean, Alan, in terms of what you believe, like OU's desire to get the running game going, because obviously there's going to be a desire to showcase John Mateer, to kind of start that momentum, to get that, to establish that, I guess that dynamic now with OU's offense being run by adults, with John Mateer at the helm. I mean, just for your fandom, I mean, where do you want this to kind of go? Knowing that Ben Arbuckle's an air raid guy, but knowing that he does like to run the football, whether it would be with Mateer, his quarterback, or his running backs, going back to Washington State. I mean, where do you think, if OU is going to be successful this season, how much influence does Jade Knott and the rest of the running backs have in that success?
I mean, I think they need to have a significant amount because, first of all, I mean, Arbuckle, like you mentioned, he is an air raid guy, but he does some interesting stuff with the run game, and has had some success with backs who are not anywhere near Ott's caliber, in my opinion. So that's an interesting, kind of wrinkle there. And, Ott can probably play some in the slot too. So you'll see hopefully some two-back looks, stuff like that. And OU's got, kind of a diverse complement of backs this year when you consider, a nice physical guy like Xavier Robinson. And it sounds like they've been pretty happy with what they've seen from Blaylock, the freshman, during fall. So, between that, then you add in Barnes. I mean, Taylor Tatum, maybe. I haven't heard much about him in a while, but, you look at at least the top two in my mind being Ott and Xavier Robinson in terms of what they can bring and the diversity of their skill sets. You want that to be, play a heavy role in this. And first game, what I want to see is OU doesn't not doing anything particularly fancy, but just what does it look like when they're running their base stuff? How physical are they? What do they do with Ott? What does he like running best? What is, does the play calling change when, your bigger backs are in there? That's the kind of stuff I'm looking to see first game.
Yeah. I mean, do we think we're going to see, something like two back sets? I've been fantasizing about having a combination of either like Jade Knott and Xavier Robinson, or Javonte Barnes and Taylor Tatum. Just, two different types of backs that bring two different types of things in the backfield at the same time, whether they run routes or, do something unique in Ben Arbuckle's offense. I mean, I feel like the thing is we're going to have to wait an extra week to see all that fun fireworks stuff for Michigan, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what part of the reason why I want to see the base stuff, because I also not thinking, if they've got, stuff that's going to wow you, or stuff that's really inventive, I don't see much reason to break that out against, is Illinois State, they're the Redbirds. Is that right? I think. Yeah. The Redbirds.
That's the number 6th ranked team preseason of the FCS. Illinois State Redbirds
yeah,
to you.
But that's part of the funny thing too. Is this isn't a terrible FCS team that's coming in. We've seen some really bad ones in the past, and this isn't that.
Well, what that means is they're a well-coached team, like for their level of play, for their level of competition. They're a well-coached team. Like Arkansas State, 2 years ago, not good, not talented. But you don't expect that from an Arkansas State team. But our old buddy, whose name escapes me, Tennessee's old coach, what was his name? Butch Jones, who famously kicked a field goal on the 5.5 inch line on their first drive of the game, which of course led to OU's comeback and victory in Knoxville in 2015. I hesitate to say that they were well coached that year. So yeah, Illinois State not going to be very talented. OU should beat the brains off of them, but they're a well coached team. So you can still find some tests, here and there, especially with the amount of question marks OU's got on the offensive line, at cornerback. I was listening to the Oklahoma breakdown the other day, guys, and the chatter around Eli Bowen is starting to kind of worry me in terms of he has missed a lot of time, and he has only really showcased himself for 8 weeks last year, and they were 8 fabulous games. Because I know he played more than that, but in terms of him being the starting cornerback, it didn't really happen until right before or after Texas. So in the secondary, you're depending on guys who are new first-year starters, young players in their own right. I think Cortland Guillory was running with the ones, according to Teddy Lehman. So switching gears over to the defense, guys. Matt, I'll start with you. We're excited for a lot of these names, and it's Brent Venables' defense. But again, it's the secondary, and if there's been an Achilles heel, it's been the back end of the Brent Venables defense. So, as confident and as excited we are for this team overall, as we get closer to the season, i.e., as we get closer to the Michigan game, second week of the year, with the state of the secondary, particularly with the cornerbacks, how much does that affect your confidence?
It does. It's the second biggest question on the team outside of O-line. I don't know. I think if you're an OU fan and if the secondary, specifically corners, are average to below average, you better hope that defensive line is as it's built up to be. You better hope that defensive line is, like Cole Kublik said, the best in the SEC, and it's not close, because those two could work hand in hand. So if everyone's healthy along the defensive line, maybe feel good about that. But man, there's a ton of unknown at corner. Like you said, I don't know if Eli Bowen, when he's getting back. I truthfully have no idea. But he's still not practicing. So we'll see with Gentry Williams, his history, and especially to it specifically being a shoulder. That is just never where you want to be as a football player, where you're,
and he's physical. He's a physical cornerback.
Right. And you never know, just one bump and okay, is it out of socket again? Is it just gone again? You really don't know. So, the young guys are going to have to step up. I like what I'm hearing, but again, can it be fall camp talk where it's, he's looking good and making plays. Is that because, we didn't really expect that from him and he'll be a rotation? He could crack the rotation, or is it, no, that's a dude, and we're going to be leaning on him heavy, Cortland Guillory, somebody like that. I don't know, man. That's the beautiful part. We get to find out here in a few weeks, but corner for sure that's a big question mark right now.
Just for context, in terms of Eli Bowen's injury, where the conversation is around him, you've got guys like Stoya. I think Gabe Eichert even mentioned Giovanni Gibson, who's been hurt this entire time as well, essentially the same time window as Eli Bowen. He's kind of raring to go, from a physical standpoint. I think they're ramping him up and getting him ready to make his debut on the practice field.
Yeah, Eli missed the spring too. Missed the spring, and he's missing all fall.
Giovanni missed all but 2 weeks of spring.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe he was healthy for all weeks of spring except for the last one. So it's essentially like
the
this
case, yeah.
different injuries, of course. Yeah. But, it's just, just for that added context, we're not hearing anything like that with Eli Bowen from anybody. So, I mean, hopefully the kids grow up. I mean, Alan, I don't blame you if you don't remember this question, but I can't remember who you were on with. It might have been one of your pods with Bill Connolly, essentially discussing like returning production. And I remember you asked a question essentially like, how important really is like your front seven's ability to pressure the quarterback in terms of it influencing how your secondary plays better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, the obvious thing that OU fans would point to if someone questions the cornerbacks, at least their status right now before we see them play, and whoever is healthy is healthy. They've got R. Mason Thomas, they've got Jaden Jackson, they've got all these guys, like one of the best defensive lines in the SEC, if not in the nation. So it really shouldn't matter, right? So, I mean, really, what does that matter in terms of helping these young cornerbacks and these injured cornerbacks along early on in the season?
Well, especially given that OU is going to be seeing, for example, week 2 probably going to see Bryce Underwood, who's a young quarterback. That in those kind of situations, I think it's a huge help because if you can, the more pressure you get on him, you're forcing him to make decisions, reads, things like that maybe he's not quite ready for. But I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword though, right? Because it is one of those deals where it's like, okay, well, we've got this great front four. We'll just get all this good pressure. Well, if you don't, you're kind of hanging those guys out to dry if they're not really ready to hold up for, playing just lockdown coverage. So it's kind of either or. Now, the other thing about it though is that, Venables is, he is a blitz, aficionado. He's going to have every different kind of, kind of look like that to throw at quarterbacks too. But, when you blitz, it also opens up some holes. So, it's an either or thing. But I think that my general take on this is that, you need to force the issue. You want to make, you're better off getting pressure and, kind of going from there. And so if that, that is kind of like just one of those things, a rising tide lifts all boats. If you're doing that, it's going to help along every single, layer or line of the D.
Yeah, no question. And I think OU's defense overall under Brent, especially the last 2 years, it's been getting very close to being in that spot where I've really wanted OU to be in terms of I'm tired of watching OU's defenses have to react to everything. Like, oh, we're not confident that our corners can cover, so we're going to have them play 10 yards off the ball. Or we're not confident about the pass rush, so we're just going to have shell coverage and just drop everybody back and make it easy on them. OU is getting damn near close to the point where they can absolutely no, we're the ones who are going to tell you how this game's going to go. And you can either out execute us and force us to adjust, or you're just going to have a nice 3-hour day in hell against our defense. So that's where we want to be. I think we have the talent to essentially get there, at least in the front seven, but still a lot of, things to find out, even against a team like Illinois State. I mean, what does a Danny Okoye look like? But if you ask Brent Venables, oh boy, look, Brent will do the thing where he'll go through the roster in his head and he doesn't want to I think he tries to make sure that I recognize all of your hard work when he's being asked publicly by the media, and he doesn't want to leave a name out because he knows that even the players that aren't good enough to start or that will never see the field, those guys are busting their ass every day and working so hard. And he wants to try to recognize that. But there are times where he will light up a little bit differently when it comes to praising some players' play in practice, and especially since we don't get to see a spring game this year. We can only go by his word. But I mean, Alan, him saying I can't wait to unleash Danny Okoye onto the SEC when there is an open spot opposite of R. Mason Thomas. I mean, I went from a few weeks ago just thinking like at the very least, please, can some of these guys like Taylor Wine, Marvin Jones Jr., whoever it might be, PJ Adebarwe, can you at least be Ethan Downs? Because Ethan Downs was good enough that you couldn't just super focus on R. Mason Thomas, and it allowed R. Mason Thomas to be able to cook. If you can be at least as good as him, then, that's gravy. But Brent saying that about Danny Okoye just made me essentially think of, are we going to have two R. Mason Thomases on both sides of the line of scrimmage? I don't know about you, but I was excited about him coming out of high school. My buddy Grant from west of Everest has been very adamant about, at the time when that recruiting class was signed, that he thought Danny Okoye is probably going to be the best player out of that class. And when you hear Brent say something like that, that gives that thought, that opinion, a lot of credence.
Yeah, with Okoye, I feel like it's the kind of thing that he's kind of like a, kind of like a specialized weapon that, Brent can deploy with these, pressure packages, things that he really likes doing, his exotic blitzes and those kinds of looks. I don't know. I'm kind of more interested in that respect to see how he holds up on just standard kind of, meat and potato rundowns and stuff like that. Like, is he able to hold his ground? That's the kind of stuff that I'm not sure if we're going to get him, kind of full time the way, Ethan Downs, you could basically play him in just about any situation. But, those high leverage, situations and scenarios, a guy like Okoye, if he is as chaos inducing and, disruptive as it sounds, you can do a lot with that. And pairing him, in those situations with the pass rusher like R. Mason Thomas, it's definitely a huge plus.
Matt, what visions of Danny Okoye dancing in your head at all, like with a sack dance or something? I don't know. When you hear Brent talk about a player like that in that light, does that not increase whatever excitement you had for Danny Okoye just a little bit more, like it did with me, or am I wanting something to happen too much?
No, I definitely got excited about that, man. I think Danny Okoye, to me, again, don't know him, but seems from the outside looking in that he's kind of a maniac, and I think that I think OU football could use some more maniacs there on defense. And it's funny you say another R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason Thomas is listed officially at 6'2", 249, and Danny Okoye is 6'3", 251. So it's pretty similar dimensions there. But man, just the thing that sticks out to you about Danny Okoye is it feels like just a freak athlete, man. Like he just a guy that size, the bendability, the athleticism that he has at that size really stick out. And yes, no, that definitely made your ears perk up a little bit, because I think it was on his show with Toby Rowland that he does, and Toby was just kind of throwing out names and like, hey, here's a name, give me a couple sentences, and listed off a couple names. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's competitive, versatile, good stuff, all that stuff. And then he said he got the Danny Okoye, and he was like, untapped potential, cannot wait to unleash him on the SEC. So I was like, oh, okay, that was off the beaten coach speak path, if you will.
Yeah, it does get to a point where when they just super hyper praise a particular player, it's like, okay, I guess that we can believe and not categorize that as coach speak. But again, got to see it first. So, we were all excited about PJ Adebarwe, but I don't ever recall once PJ stepped on the campus any type of praise from the coaching staff, whether it be Chase.
Oh, yeah. Was it after the Cincinnati game? I want to say that Brent was like, yeah, I'm watching film on the plane and telling Coach Chavis, we got to get 34 on the field, basically. I think, but since then, it's just been like he's kind of been out injured. It feels like since the praise happened, he's been injured.
It seemed like the recruiting gurus were the ones who were going nuts over PJ more so than what you were hearing necessarily from the coaches at the time. And, with Okoye, it's, you're getting probably a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, signing PJ and in the same class with Jackson Arnold, those two players were a gigantic reason why a lot of big national media members were willing to just kind of hand wave the 6-7 initial start for Brent Venables and say, like, look where this is going, because of a guy like they just signed in PJ Adebarwe, So I remember Josh Pate having an entire segment about that and then going like, I think OU can go 9-3 or 10-2 with this schedule. And of course they did. They lost the 2 games that we didn't think, and they won the games that we didn't think that they would. So interesting enough. Speaking of Josh Pate, I wonder if you guys caught this. So Pate, I think last week predicted on his show that John Mateer is going to be his Heisman winner, which, okay, that is a take. I'm not necessarily there, but I would love to see it. And then I believe on Monday or last Friday, he released his playoff bracket for the season. And OU was not among the 12 playoff teams in his prediction, which also is okay. I mean, I'm also not there as well. But Matt, in a world where John Mateer wins the Heisman, is OU not in the playoff? Like that seemed, look, I have an opinion about Josh Pate. I appreciate him because for him to make content, to do a show essentially every other day during the off season about the sport we love, I greatly appreciate that. He grinds, but he does kind of rub me as someone who doesn't necessarily want to rain on anybody's parade, unless like if he was around during like the Penn State Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky days, I'm sure he would have rained on Penn State's parade because rightfully so. It gets to a point where, yeah, you don't even care about hurting some feelings here and there. But he seems like the type of guy that doesn't necessarily want to hurt feelings, because saying John Mateer is going to win the Heisman, also, no OU in my playoff bracket, but Texas is there, and I think another SEC team was there. That to me was like, that doesn't make any logical sense, but maybe that's my fault for trying to find logic.
Right. We are 1 for 1 on the 12-team playoff of the Heisman winner not being in it, too. Travis Hunter won last year, but he's not a quarterback either. So
yeah, like, if John Mateer, a quarterback in the SEC for a school like OU, is winning the Heisman, it's one of 2 ways. One, like the way that we all kind of know, where he's quarterbacking one of the best teams in the country and has all the stats. Or it's like 07 Tim Tebow, where the team is not necessarily good in terms of win-loss results, but he has like 800 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I love John Mateer. I don't know if he's that physically gifted like Tim Tebow.
I mean, I get your logic too, because like, was RG3 did he have the worst win-loss record for a quarterback to win it? Like in the modern times.
And who can we thank for that?
Well, yeah, true. But with that, so like 9-3, I guess, being the floor for a quarterback winning a Heisman. And I feel like as long as OU doesn't lose to Kent State, Temple, or Illinois State, if they go 9-3, they're probably in the playoff with their schedule, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, technically there was one quarterback who did not make the playoff last year in the Heisman candidacy that went to New York. It was Cam Ward, but they were eliminated on the last week of the regular season when they lost to Syracuse.
Yeah. Yeah. They were major like 2018 OU vibes last year. They just could not stop anybody.
And but like LSU, when Jaden Daniels won 2023, I mean, they were a good team, but I think they went 9-3. That was pre 12 team playoff, right? So, but that was, so I guess there's that. And you mentioned Tebow. I mean, I think that team was like 7-5, but I mean, he just statistically that you couldn't ignore it.
Right.
Yeah, and he had the build up from not just his recruiting, but his freshman year where he was like QB2, but coming out for the Tebow package for the jump pass. Like he had a bunch of build up that helped him on his Heisman campaign. But again, like 2007 was also the funky year where you could have picked 8, 9, 10 teams, and if any combination of those two went to the national championship, that would have been the national championship. So sometimes funky things can happen in terms of team win-loss results. And then, of course, in terms of there just isn't a lot of classic. This isn't like a Tebow, Bradford, Colt McCoy, like Heisman candidacy where it's like those are the guys. Because, I mean, Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, I've seen better quarterback play because I'm an OU fan. So Cam Ward's great, but nothing he did last year was like, wow. I don't want to take anything away from him, but, we saw Baker, Kyler, Jalen Hurts to an extent, Caleb Williams in the span of 4 years. And so if that's kind of my standard for that's like Heisman level quarterback play, I mean, I don't think really Cam Ward reached that, but again, he's the number one overall pick, so credit to him. Dylan Gabriel got there because he was the quarterback on the number one team throughout most of the season. And Oregon, Dylan Gabriel deserved it. And the rest of the season just wasn't very exciting in terms of individual play. I mean, Ohio State had a few running backs on their team that in any year, they could be a Heisman candidate, but they didn't necessarily need to work one of them to get the production. I mean, who else? I mean, Nussmeier. I mean, what was Nussmeier's problem with LSU? Was it just they lost too many games, or he was injured early in the year?
Yeah, I mean, they just, I don't think they had the kind of season, that you would necessarily, that would really scream Heisman, and probably not the numbers either.
Yeah, so all that to say, it is possible for John Mateer to be a Heisman candidate, but OU not necessarily in the playoff hunt. So, Alan, in the event that bizarro scenario does happen, how do we? I'm just let's pretend that does happen. How do we feel? To me, that would be a very, very Twilight Zone. I feel like we should be excited and happy, but I don't know. There's some empty feeling here.
Yeah, I mean, part of it to me is that, I look at the Heisman Trophy, and for all the prestige that it carries and, all that, I mean, it's such a bizarre award. There's no real criteria. There's nothing I mean, and it feels like it is a very kind of hype-driven award at this point. I mean, to the point, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really even, try to predict a Heisman winner anymore because, so much of it seems to depend on, narratives and whatnot. So, I mean, I would rather see OU in the playoff for sure than, if it's either one or the other, I would rather see OU in the playoff. But if Mateer did win, I mean, it'd still be a good thing, and it would probably mean that, it would be good, I guess, hype wise for OU going forward too, is I guess another way to look at it. And who knows, maybe if in that scenario, if John Mateer won the Heisman Trophy, but OU didn't make the playoff, I don't know, maybe that would be kind of like a, unfinished business type thing going into 2026.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say finish. Don't do the 2004 wristband to me again. Someone mentioned that to me a week ago, and I just early Sooners Illustrated OU Insider message board days of finish before there was ever a hashtag.
Kind of like complimenting colors with the Livestrong bracelet as well. So it looked pretty good right next to the crimson finish and the yellow Livestrong bracelets back in 04.
Basically every ABC broadcast would have a little, segment about and they'd zoom in on a player's wrist or just have a still image zoomed in of them wearing a finished bracelet. And it's knowing where that story ended, which of course, to come full circle, that season did end with an Auburn national championship, as we all remember. So
of course,
shout out to Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown. Ronnie Brown, a great Miami Dolphin, I might add. Goodness. Auburn, you didn't win the national championship. They beat Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl 16-13. And I remember thinking, they're mad. They're mad that they didn't get a chance. OU and USC look unbeatable together. It happened. What happened. But if USC played Auburn, maybe they get their ass kicked too. If OU plays Auburn, maybe OU gets their ass kicked. Maybe they kick Auburn's ass. It's just all about matchups. And don't party on South Beach, kids, when you've got a national championship to play for. Don't do that. Party afterwards. But oh well. Where are my manners? Before we get out of here, I think we do need to mention that there is college football this weekend. Farmageddon is being played in Dublin for some. Alan, can you imagine being a diehard K-State or Iowa State fan? You are a season ticket holder. You've been a season ticket holder since the 80s. And you get told your big regular season rivalry game, oh yeah, that's going to be in Ireland. Are you going to go, or are you going to be mad that you lost out on a fun home game?
Gosh, man. I mean, it sounds cool, but then again, I mean, I've been to Ireland, not to brag, but so I mean, no,
Alan O'Kinney.
Yeah, who's giving? Yeah, exactly. Right. Who's giving? Which one's giving up the home game here? Like, how does that even work? Is it Iowa State? It's supposed to be an Iowa State home game? That's the kind of part I'm be like, man,
It's
like,
supposed to be a K-State home game.
oh, okay,
So
yeah. I mean,
Or
I don't.
Manhattan's bars and restaurants, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know. I generally speaking, I'm not really big on a lot of these kinds of neutral site type deals and stuff like that. If I'm a Kansas State, season ticket holder, yeah, I guess I'm kind of mad. I mean, eh,
they still
Is
got
there
5 home games outside of this. So
is
yeah.
is there a reason why these neutral site Ireland games have been conference games? Like, does it have to be a conference game? Because
No,
I
no,
mean,
yeah, like Notre
well,
Dame Navy did was one, I think.
okay, well, Notre Dame played Northwestern too, and I always forget that Notre Dame, they're not playing a Big Ten schedule like they
Mm.
freaking should. They play an ACC schedule because they're cowards. But I think that was like the initial thing, but that made sense. It's like it's Notre Dame, Catholic school, the Fighting Irish. Yeah, let them. If anyone can play in Ireland or anywhere
Mhm.
else, it can be them. They can draw a crowd, I would imagine. But then it started becoming like, last year was Georgia Tech, Florida State, which ended up being pretty important in that we found out very quickly Florida State sucks. DJU is not good. And Georgia Tech, hey, they got something with Haynes King running the show. People are excited about them in the ACC, and now there's a Big 12 game. And again, like I feel bad for Manhattan because if there are any other fan bases in the Big 12, the classic Big 12, other than OU and Texas, like the big ones that travel well, it's Kansas State and Iowa State. Like bad Iowa State teams would come to Norman, and there would be thousands of Iowa State fans walking around in Norman. So they travel well, and that's a bummer, but. We got something to look forward to at least this weekend. Matt, any big Farmageddon thoughts?
no, man, I'm just ready to see it, and I'm kind of excited about the Big 12 this year. I'm excited to see what goes on because I feel like they're just going to beat the hell out of each other. It's going to be
doing
awesome.
projections for the Big 12 this year is like impossible. Every game is like a 3-point spread. Every team, it seems like, is going to go like 5-4.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the Big 12 too. I'm excited.
I saw a graphic which makes sense because the Big 12 has expanded so vastly in terms of the schools from former conferences that it's pulled from. But there's like 5 or 6 games between teams that have never played each other in the Big 12 going on this season. So I mean, I would imagine it makes it hard to project. It's been long enough. One more plug to the Patreon page, patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. Alan put his entire Power 4 conference prediction layout on Patreon. You can go find that on our page if you are so inclined to do so. And again, you can join for free for a month and try it out for free if you'd like. We are also doing the discount code 25% off. Just type in the word keyhole. You get 25% off for the first month. But what do you remember specifically about the big? Because I know we went over a few conferences and I didn't want you to do all of them because I wanted to tease people to go to the Patreon page, which a few of you guys did. So thank you. But what exactly with the Big 12? I mean, I can pull it up, but I want you to kind of lay it out for me because is this going to be a case where whenever Mike Gundy goes into a season with expectation, they suck, and whenever no one talks about OSU, that's when Mike Gundy wins 9 or 10 games?
Yeah,
with somebody at quarterback, just some guy.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. I kind of feel like the Gundy's hit his expiration date. Just, I mean, I've got them. I like just speaking to that. I mean, I've got them going 3-9 again, 1-8 in the conference. I mean, this is just a team, especially. I mean, their out of conference game is Oregon. Like, good luck, and. It just feels like for so long Gundy was able to kind of find like those coaching gems, like the guys, from places from Popcorn State or whatever. And now, he's kind of going back to the well with Doug Meacham, who I believe was at OSU early on in Gundy's tenure there. And then pulling Todd Grantham off the scrap heap, like, and just it seems unfocused in terms of how they're building the team and where they're drawing players from, and just I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in the Pokes this year.
Matt, who tickles your fancy in the Big 12?
I just also to Oklahoma State has the lowest win total in the Big 12, which is just kind of jarring to see. I don't know, man. Like seriously, I feel like I feel like I'm gonna lean toward Kansas State. That's just who I have winning the Big 12. But honestly, you could talk me into like 5 teams winning the Big 12, which is, I think, pretty fun. I think that's a pretty fun place to be for a league that, I really don't cover that much anymore. We'll talk some Oklahoma State on the radio show a little bit, but just as far as like being a football fan of none of the, but not being a fan of any of these teams in particular, dude, the Big 12 is gonna be so much fun. Like you can talk me into Arizona State making a run again, Utah, Texas Tech with all the money that they spent in the transfer portal. Like hell, Iowa State played for the Big 12 title last year, and they returned Rocco Becht at quarterback. So I don't know. You can talk me into a lot of different potentials, which I think makes for a very fun conference that I have no rooting interest in.
Random thought question for both of you. Where does Houston lie with your thoughts? Because I was just bouncing around different Big 12 teams from last year, and Houston's season last year confuses me because they got destroyed by UNLV to open up the year. We all know what happened in Norman. They lose 16-12. Rice, they win that game. Who cares? They suck. But then they have 2 games, one at Cincinnati, and last year Cincinnati not very good, and then a game in Houston against Iowa State. They lose 34-0 to Cincinnati, and then they turn around and lose 20-0 against Iowa State. They do go on the road to beat TCU 30-19. That's a good victory. They get destroyed by Kansas. They're hot and cold with Jaden Daniels. But then they win 2 games, 17-14, 24-19 against Utah and Kansas State before losing their final 3 games at Arizona, against Baylor, and at BYU. And so it confounds me because there's no consistency here whatsoever. And I also like Willie Fritz as a coach. Yeah. So, I mean, what am I to take away from Houston?
Do you believe in Connor Wegman?
Should I?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
but,
there you go. That's the ticket.
That's their QB. I will say, because we were supposed to do our Big 12 previews today on the show, so I'm glad that we're talking a little Big 12 because it's still top of mind. But Houston 5.5 is their win total, and they're actually favored to go over that right now. So a lot of the money on them going over. So that's intriguing to me. When I was looking up, shout out to Bill Connolly, go listen to the podcast he did with Alan. When I was looking up his SP Plus rankings, there are 5 Big 12 teams listed in a row from 57 to 61.
Yeah.
West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Houston, Arizona, UCF are numbers 57 through 61. So it felt like Bill was like, I don't know, all you guys are kind of the same. It's just kind of the same. We're gonna group you up right here. So yeah, no, I don't have very high hopes for Houston, even though while looking over their depth chart, completely forgot that the tight end from Ball State that OU was in on, the Tanner Kozoil kid, ended up at Houston.
Yeah, I mean, with Houston, one of the things that I do like there a lot. Well, I mean, like, I don't know, I just like Willie Fritz. I think pound for pound, like, he's the best coach in college football personally. But he's brought in a new offensive coordinator, this guy named Slade Nagel, who was actually
what a name.
I know.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
But he's been assistant with him forever. And he did not make the trek last year, I don't think, from Tulane, but or they had somebody else that ended up. But anyway, they're back. They're going to be coaching together this year. He'll be the offensive coordinator. I really like that for Tulane's prospects. And, I thought that last year their defense played really well. Now they lost that coordinator. He moved up to Texas Tech, I believe, or moved over with a new contract. But just the way they play, I don't know, man. I went ahead and played the over on them. And also to put a very, very small bet on them at significant odds to win the Big 12. So I don't think they will, but Chris Felica and I actually talked a lot about this when on another of the Patreon shows. He's big on the Cougars too this year.
Again, Willie Fritz is awesome. So, I mean, if OU was ever in a position, I mean, I don't think they're going to be, and I'm happy to say this, but if Brent Venables wasn't the head coach at OU in the next few years, then Willie Fritz is definitely a name that I would entertain, but he's a little bit older. So, but I mean, Brent's 50 when he got hired. So, I mean, how old is Willie Fritz? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
Well, let's see here.
Willie Fritz.
He graduated
65.
he graduated from college in 1981. From what I'm seeing here. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. A little bit older, so maybe not, but still a very good coach. Guys, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
One more week, man. One more week.
Yeah, I mean, guys, this is the last Through the Keyhole free pod until game week. I mean, this time next week, we will be reacting mainly to Brent Venables' opening press conference, which I'm sure none of the questions will really have anything to do with Illinois State. It'll just be who's hurt, who's playing, what do you expect, as much as they can tell. I mean, we're probably going to have a depth chart, hopefully by this time next week, before the press conference. Not, probably just right before, so the media doesn't have that much time to react to it and ask him questions, but, it is what it is. So
before we get out of here, can I throw in a little breaking news here?
Oh, please.
Tweet from Mark Mangino, former Oklahoma offensive coordinator, head coach of the University of Kansas Jayhawks. It just says, "Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein." That's it.
Let's, Mark. Yes.
Start us off, Mark. Start us off. Let's go. What we got?
This was like 30 minutes ago. I don't know what prompted this, but yeah.
Huh. Is this the time or place? I mean, it probably is, to be honest. But you can, go subscribe to patreon.com/throughthekeyhole now, and we'll tell you all about that. Yeah. So if Mark Mangino keeps, you sent it to us in the chat. If Mark Mangino goes on a tweet thread, Alan, I am asking you to break it down in a Patreon pod. I want you to react to it.
Oh, I would do that for free, Brady.
At Keep Sawing Wood. Mark Mangino. Oh. Poor Mark. Oh, well, that's where we're going to end it. Everybody, thank you all so very much for listening to Through the Keyhole for the first time or for the upteenth time. Thank you all to our new friends and our old friends. Appreciate you all joining us and getting ready for the season as we're all excited, just like you are. Patreon.com/throughthekeyhole for extra podcast and written articles. Keyholepod.com for blatant homerism and other articles to come as the season gets underway next weekend. And of course, thank you to Choctaw Nation Home Field Apparel, Kaizen Performance Gym. We might have a few more people to thank, hopefully in the near future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for the absent Peyton Guthrie, Mr. Matt Burton, Mr. Alan Kenny, I imagine Peyton will be back next week, guys. Hopefully, we want to hear from him. But for all of us here at Through the Keyhole, thank you for listening. Until next time, bummer!
Set up.